Hey guys, welcome back. Lunch Hour Web, we just got our domain name, we just got some of our social media links, and now we're ready for the next step in our video. Now, if I bring up the website to-do list, this is something we created, I think, in video number 2. We are on to either looking at web hosting or picking out designing our own logo and color scheme. I'm going to actually jump up here to logo and color scheme because that, as you know, after we sign up for all the social media accounts, and once we start building our website, that's going to be pretty important. That's going to be our branding. This is what it's going to show off the website, what it's about, as much as a logo can. This is what's going to associate people when they see that logo to your brand, your product, your website. Now, some of you, of course, who already have a product, maybe you already have branding, you already have a logo, you already have your color scheme picked out. This all you may just be able to bypass this video completely. I will share you some of my thoughts and comments on what makes a good logo, what makes good color schemes. So if you want to see any of that, please feel free to stick around. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, hate my colors, hate my logo that I come up with, just let me know. And put in the comments, let me know, email me. You guys have my email now, my Gmail email, not my work email. But it's working. I'll be checking that. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts. If you love it, hate it. Otherwise, it can always change. That's the beauty of this. Anything can be changed anytime. If I show you how to do it, then you can change it yourself. So I'm going to start actually with the color scheme. I'm not going to build my logo yet. I'm going to start with the color scheme. The reason is once you have your colors, you may want to use those in your logo. So it doesn't hurt. It would not be wise to build your logo, then find your colors, then have to go back and re-edit your logo later. So I'm going to start with the color scheme, then we're going to jump into logo. We only have an hour to do this, so let's get started. First I'm going to bring up is a website, a cool website I found just the other day. And if you just search for color Adobe, you're going to be brought up to this color.adobe.com, this Adobe color wheel, did I say that right? And it's going to show up right here. And this is pretty cool. This is a color wheel. The nice thing about this, it has these different options over here. So let's say you want complementary colors. You can just move any of these dots around. It's going to change these boxes down here to match, to find complementary colors. Maybe you want compound colors. I don't even know the difference between all these. Art is not my strong suit, but what you can do is kind of find a range of colors that you like. So here's some blues, some browns, some peach color. You also have shades, all of the same. Maybe you just want a whole bunch of different blues or purples or reds. It gives you different options over here. I'm going to go ahead and choose compound just to get it in the general vicinity of what I want. I want a nice blue and maybe some red and some grays. Now, so I'm going to start here and I'm going to jump over to the custom section. Let's go and hide that. And now I can really drill down and find the color schemes I want. So that's what I was saying. For my website, for my business, I've been giving this a little bit of thought. Not too much because colors, they can change. But we're going to try and get this right the first time. And hopefully we choose some colors that we really like. So I'm going to choose right here. I'm going to start on this blue right here, the very first box. And I want to find a nice bluish gray. So like I said, my colors are going to be a blue, gray. And I want it to be a little bit darker. You have some options up here. This first line moves it up and down on the wheel, just straight up and down. The second one moves it left and right, so closer to green or closer to dark blue and purple. And this third one kind of brings it in a diagonal way as well. So once I find a nice gray, now this is really dark gray. Let me go and lighten this up. I'm sorry, light blue. I want a blue. I don't want gray yet. Let's go ahead and get it a little bit more blue until we find the color that I like. And not quite where I want it. Let's go ahead and move it around. Everything's really dark. Here's getting more in the blue section. All right. There we go. That's a nice. This is getting to be about the color I was thinking of in my head. So that's a nice light blue. And I'm going to go ahead and start a new notepad. I'm going to write these color schemes down. So I'm going to have a light blue. Now What I'm going to go next down to is this hex color right down here. I'm going to copy this. This is what you're going to use in different drawing programs, which we're going to show here in a little bit when we create our logo. Also going to be used on any of the website, and if you have any Word documents or otherwise, you can use this hex color to find that exact same blue every single time. So I'm going to go write this down, light blue. Let's go ahead and name this document color scheme. And next I want a darker blue. I don't want quite that dark. I'm going to go in the same vicinity over here. And let's go and lighten this up quite a bit. And just a little bit darker blue. That's kind of nice. I like that one there. I jumped right to it now. Cool, perfect. Found that. I'm going to say darker blue. It's not a dark blue, but it is a little bit darker than my previous one. Next, I want a nice red color scheme. And so let's bring this one over here. Oh, nice deep, rich red. And let's make this a little bit, it's getting really bright. I don't quite that bright. Let's just get the tone out a little bit different. I'm just doing this visually, guys. There's nothing I'm trying to get here to a specific number or anything. I'm just using it visually, trying to match these squares so I think they look good together. Let's go ahead and, you know what? I think that's kind of nice. Hopefully it's not too bright. I don't have any experience in color matching. Hopefully you guys don't hate my colors too much so far, but I'm getting unique colors right now. Next section, I just want a couple of grays. Now grays will help make my colors stand out a little bit more if I have too many colors, especially on a website that's called Angry Fruit Salad. One of my coworkers told me this phrase, and I thought it was hilarious. Angry Fruit Salad. If you get too many colors and it looks kind of like a clown car, the terminology is Angry Fruit Salad makes your website look awful. So I got a nice gray there, and now I'm gonna come in and let's do a bluish gray, a nice really light blue, right? Maybe by there. I want a little bit darker. That's too dark. Yeah, I like that one right there. Just copy this hex color. And save it. So these are my color schemes. You notice it just took me a few minutes. All I did was play around this wheel, and I gave it some thought, of course, before this training video. But these are some nice color scheme. I like them so far. They can always change later, especially early on. If I start building a website and these colors are awful together, that's okay. I can always change it later. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my desktop, call it color scheme, and save. And now I can reference this notepad here in the future if I need to. The next thing I want to go to, let's go ahead and I'm going to shrink this down. I'm going to bring up another web browser. And the next one I want to come to is the building the logo. So I found this really cool website, or not a website, it's a software program. It's called Inkscape. So we search for that, and you come to Inkscape Home. That's kind of hard word to say. Inkscape.org, and I'm going to put these links in the video notes, show notes. So feel free to just jump over to lunchhourweb.com, click on the links there instead of Googling it, but you can find it that way as well. Come here to download and choose your appropriate different operating system. So I'm Windows, get it installed here. Now I did that last night. So I have this here in my miscellaneous desktop icons called Inkscape 0.91. Actually, notice I installed this a while back, and it's actually on a different user on this computer. I have a little bit of experience with this program, but not a whole lot. So this is not a tutorial on how to use Inkscape. I'm going to show you some quick, cool ways that you can use Inkscape to build a logo or to build different banners or whatever you want. Awesome stuff in here. So what I'm going to let me go and resize this to match the video. There we go. And I'll give you a very, very brief rundown of how this program works. On the left hand side are your drawing tools. So if you want to draw a square, you want to draw a squiggly line, stars, circles, etc., put in word text, freehand, you can do all that here. And over on the right hand side are how you can modify the different items that you put in. So I've been doing this over probably the past week or more. I've been doodling just in my spare time, just on a piece of pen and paper, writing out different logos. And I hope what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and load all those different doodles and drawings, just scan them in, take a picture of them, and put them on the website. If you guys want to see my kind of get that thought process, you can see exactly where I was leaning, different shapes and designs. I find that so much easier than trying to do this all on this computer software. So doodle it out by hand, draw it out by hand, figure out what you want your logo to look like, and then try to mimic it here in the software. You get much cleaner lines, and instead of drawing, at least if you draw anything like me, my doodles are terrible, but they get the idea across very quick, very easy. I can decide which designs I really like and which designs I don't like. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control and use my scroll wheel to zoom in. This is my working area. This black outline is kind of like a sheet of paper, kind of looks like that. I'm going to go and zoom in here to the upper top. And before I get started on my logo, I'm going to jump back to my color scheme, and I'm going to put these in and show you how this works. So let's go and take the circle tool. I'm going to draw a big old circle here. And you'll notice that nothing shows up. I have my colors down here at the bottom. These are kind of default colors. If I hold down left click, it'll fill in the inside. If I hold down shift and left click on a color, it puts a border on the edge. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. And I'm going to hold down shift and click on this none. So I do not want a border. Now, as we just saw, I don't have a black in here. I am going to use black and white. Black and white, of course, is probably going to be predominantly, almost my whole website is going to be white with some black text and stuff. I just want to right now put in these colors. Let's start with the light blue. I'm going to copy that hex code, jump back here, and I'm going to bring in a window. Let's see if I remember which window this is. Like I said, this isn't a training. I think this is fill and stroke window. There we go. I don't want that preferences. And what the fill and stroke does, it allows me, I have this circle selected, I can put in that RGB, that hex. And you notice, well, that should be a light blue. Well, that's a red, green, blue. That's what the RGB stands for. But in Inkscape, there is this A value. And the A is transparency, or alpha opacity. Also how transparent it is. So as you notice, as I bring this less and less transparent, I can come up to, let's just bring it all the way up to the end. There's the nice blue I had. So if I look at my website, that should be, let me go ahead and shrink the size of this. Let me move it over. This should be, sorry, made that full screen. Should be the same exact blue. Now it may look a little bit different because you have the black in there. And then different programs, I mean, really, it should be the same exact. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink that back down. And next, I want another circle. So I can right click, copy, and paste. And there you see I have another circle. I just put it right on top. But let's change that circle to be the darker blue. Copy. And come over here, paste, and change my opacity up. And now we have a light blue and the darker blue. I'll go ahead and move that down a little bit. And let's scoot over here to the right. Another nice shortcut, instead of copying and pasting, hold Control D, and that will duplicate. So now I have a duplicate, and let's go ahead and put in the, let's do bluish gray next. I'm going to try and keep my blues together. And I'll paste that. Oh, wrong color. Paste that there and bring my opacity back up so it's not transparent. There we go. So lighter blue, darker blue, gray. And let's come back here to another gray. And let's duplicate that again. Change the darker gray. Duplicate it, bring it out. And now I've done light blue, darker blue, blue gray, gray. And now last one is red. Change my opacity up. And there. So here's my color scheme. Nice sheet of paper like this. Let's go ahead and move this around a little bit. And you know what? I want one more for black. So let's go ahead and duplicate that one. And let's just change this all the way to black. So if I change all my numbers all the way up, oh, that changes it to white. I'm sorry, all the way down, 0, 0, 0, and then full opacity. That's black. And now I have black. Now you notice black is on top of everything else. I want to send this to the back. I can right click, I can move to layer, I can also come up to object and raise or lower. So I can lower it by pressing page down or lower it all the way to the bottom by pressing end. That's what these keyboard shortcuts are. So I'm going to go ahead and lower it. And you notice as soon as I lower it, it's still above a lot of them, but not above all of them. I want to go ahead and bring this all the way back to the bottom. That's our black, blue. Let's go ahead and I'm going to press page down. Move that one right there. That one right there. And that one right there. Alright, so these are my color schemes. I've kind of built a little... There we go. Let me zoom out just a little bit. And what I'm going to do next, I'm actually going to add some text on this. And the reason I want to add text on here is I want all the text to be in white. This is going to be my black. And black, as you know, is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And I don't want that in black text. Let's go ahead and make this white text. Move all these up. In white, you'll notice is all F, 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 F. Well, so I want white text on black. So if I ever need to grab this later, I can duplicate that, bring it over. My blue is this color scheme right here. So let me jump out, put that in. Oh, I did the wrong thing there. I changed the actual colors. I don't want to change the colors. I want to change the text inside the box. Leave that white and paste my hex code on there. So this hex code, if you notice, if we're looking at this, you're like, okay, what's the difference between light blue and darker blue? This is darker blue. This is darker blue, 4375 CC. It makes it more visual as opposed to that little text pad. So let's go ahead and put that one there. And did it? Oh, let's see. What happened here? All right, let's go ahead and undo. And you can undo paste text. Undo paste text. There we go. And what was my colors? 4375 CC. There we go. And let's go ahead and copy that. And if I'm not quite sure what color it is, I can just click on this one right here and see that just get the first few parts. Remember, those last two FFs are those opacities, so we don't need that for most programs. Let's double click on this text and paste. There we go. There's the color of that gray. Whoops. Edit. Redo, paste text. There we go. Let's duplicate that, bring it down here, and this gray is this colors. Paste that there. All right. Duplicate that one more time. Now we'll do the red. copy and paste. There we go. So now I have my different color schemes on all of these. Let's go ahead and move some of this stuff around. I just want to see a little bit more of each color. Whoops. Let's undo that. That's Control Z to undo if you guys don't know. So I might press that keyboard here in a little bit, just because it's a little bit quicker than going through those menus at the top. And kind of want these nice and visible. There we go. So here we go. Here's a nice colors in a different view. All the different colors with their matching matching numbers right behind it, and I can use those in future. Sorry, I like everything's being lowercase, so I want to make those lowercase as well. I can use these now in future websites or future designs. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. I'll save this onto the desktop, and we'll call this, what did I call it? Color scheme. And I'm going to save it as a Inkscape SVG file. So it's on my desktop. This is just an extension. Is that it right here? It says it's opening up in Internet Explorer. I don't want to open that up in Internet Explorer. I want to open that in, and actually it's not showing me the extension. If you guys ever get to this where it doesn't show the extension of a file, website to-do list, I know that should be a .txt file. Go ahead and open up your File Explorer, press View, and Options over here, depending on which version of Windows you're on, and go to View and Show Hidden, not that one, I'm sorry. Hide extensions for known file types. Uncheck that option right there. There we go. So that's colorscheme.svg, and for some reason that's wanting to open up in Internet Explorer. So that means I have to associate it back here with Inkscape. So let's do that. Open with, choose another app, and more apps. Look for another app on this PC. And where is that installed? Program files, Inkscape. There we go, right there. I want to open it with Inkscape, right here. Open. Ink View, maybe that's what I need to do. That seems very difficult, a lot of work to do. So instead, I would suggest let's go to your Start menu. Let's do File Extension. Choose default app, excuse me, for each file type. And I wasn't expecting to do a little demonstration on this, but I know that I don't want SVG to open up in Internet Explorer. I always want that to open up in Inkscape, and that's just probably Windows 10. If it wasn't sure how to open the file, it looks for its own program to open it with. But I want to definitely say use Inkscape. While that's loading, because that's taking a minute to load, I also want to show you one other thing. So after you put everything together, you can highlight, just drag your cursor over everything, and then group. And what's cool about that, now I can move everything all at once. I'm not going to move each item individually. If I do want to move a specific item, I can always just right click and ungroup, and then I can go say, okay, the black needs to come up just a little bit. So again, I'm going to highlight everything, group, and then I can also save this as an image file. So I come over here to this little, the right hand section. It might be under a save document, print document. I'm going to come down here to, let's see, I might have to come out, unselect it. Nope, that's not it. Where is that at? It's one of these in here. Notice these are some of the stuff I did earlier. Copy, paste, cut, export. That's what I want. Export this document. So select this little paper icon. And what I can do is I can select this option and say selection. I could export a whole page. I could export a drawing, selection, or custom area. I'm going to just do the selected item. And I can choose what size I want this. So let's go ahead and let's do 1000 pixels by 707 pixels. Export as, and I can give it a name. Let's go to our desktop, and we're going to call this color scheme. And this is going to put it in a .png format. Now this is sort of like a JPEG format. It's going to save it as a logo. Now after you click export as, you actually do have to click this export. And you'll see that green line flashed right through there. And let me shrink this down, and there we go. I got this color scheme .png, and opened up in my opened up in my Windows viewer. I can also open up in Paint, and that is exactly what I want. I can print this out if I needed to, have a little sheet of paper by my desk with all the colors, but that's another way you can, that's how you will go about exporting your files out of Inkscape. Now let's go back here. I need to change the known file extension type. So I'm going to go down to .svg, and I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic here, and I apologize. So if you guys want to skip ahead to when I start creating the logo, feel free. If this is something you guys also want to be aware of, like I said, I'm doing this from scratch. Nothing's done. You guys are seeing almost everything I'm doing, except for obviously when I'm thinking about stuff at night or when I'm drawing on a piece of paper. I can't really show that here. Let's come down. Here we go. The SVG document. If I click on that, yeah, it's not letting me ink. That's what I want to do here. Interesting. It's not letting me choose anything right there. Choose an app. And well, interestingly enough, it's not letting me set. Let's try this again. Set default extension, default program. See if it'll open up in here. Set your default programs. Oh, actually, associate a file type with the program. That's what we want. Give this just a minute to load. Oh, yeah, this is looking a lot better. This is a Windows 10 view versus a, I'm looking more Windows. Here we go. SVG. And I want to change the program. Instead of being Internet Explorer, I want to choose Inkscape. And again, I'm under C Program Files, Inkscape, and Inkscape. There we go. Now it has a nice little Inkscape logo there. And if I double click on that logo, it takes a minute just for Inkscape to load, and hopefully it'll be done here shortly. There we go. Bam. That's what I want. So change the known file type extension, and there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this one, and we'll go and save. I made a few changes there. I have my color scheme text document, I have my color scheme actual image, and I have my color scheme .svg. Now what I'm going to start, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. I'm going to call this Lunch Hour Web. And this is where I'm going to start keeping all my documents, just trying to keep it all together. My videos, these are videos that I've recorded so far, the first 3 parts of the video series. I'm going to throw my website to-do list in here as well. And I'm going to create another folder, let's call it Images. And in here, I'm going to do logos. And I'm going to throw in my color scheme in my logo and the color scheme in there as well. Now let's go ahead and create a brand new Inkscape file. I'm just going to open up Inkscape again. If I hadn't exited out, I could have gone to File and New once it's open, but that's okay. And what I'm going to create now is my actual logo. Now I've gotten the color scheme, I've gotten the showing you a little bit about how this program works, and I've drawn on a piece of paper how the logo that I've designed. Now I don't have that loaded, I don't have that picture of it on here, but what I'm going to do is slightly show you. Before I get started, let's go and open up another browser. And let's go look at famous logos. And let's go to the images search. And we'll notice here are a lot of famous logos. You guys know what this is: Domino's, Adidas, Beats by Dre, Apple, Nike, Rolling Stones, and so on. Pepsi, Android. Now what you'll notice on a lot of these, and I don't anticipate my logo being famous at all in any manner, but there doesn't mean that there aren't influences that we can't draw from these logos. For example, the Twitter is a bird, but you'll notice it is a very plain bird. There is no real detail to it. There isn't. It's very simplistic and minimalistic in its design. And that's the sort of design I'm going to go for as well. Let's go to complex as opposed to a complex logo, like the Metro Golden Bear. If you tried to draw that logo, that would be very difficult to draw. Let's see, World Series, that's kind of that's an okay one. Here's one, Plumber 99. I have no idea what this is, but if you had to draw that logo by hand and you had to draw it for someone else, it's gonna be very difficult to do. So I'm gonna, and I don't mean to point out any worldwide of sports. Look at all these different people in there. I'm not trying to disparage anybody's logos. I instead, just my own personal opinion, I think simplistic works best. There's a Beats logo, a circle. It's a red circle with this little bee that also kind of looks like a headphone. And that's their logo, and that's great. Another thing I want you to notice is a lot of them are black and white, or they can be made into black and white really easily. This is just two colors right there, two colors, the blue and or purple and orange, white background, blue and red, white background, black with an orange. LG has some shading going on. Very simplistic color scheme as well. So that's just a few things I want to do, and that's sort of the ideas that I had when I was drawing my own logo. I tried to make it very simple, very minimalistic. And minimalistic meaning that what is the fewest amount of lines I can put on a sheet of paper and still get across that it is my logo. So I came up with a logo, and it's kind of a bowl. I kind of used the lunch hour web thought process and said, okay, well, what would be a lunch hour web logo? And that actually brings me up to another thing, just real quickly, talking about logos. How many logos do you see that are of what the product is in the logo? For example, how many shoe companies have a logo of a shoe? How many computer programs have an image of a computer in their logo? Domino's Pizza, there's no pizza in it. Adidas' shoes, you don't see a shoe in the logo. Rolling Stones, that I don't know how you do an image of Mick Jagger, but they don't have the people or music or band or anything even associated that tells it that is. And some of the most famous logos in the world don't need to do that. Starbucks is not a picture of a cup of coffee. And so on. As we scroll through, you're going to notice a lot of these don't. Twitter is of a bird. It's not of, I don't know, a computer application, and so on. Burger King kinda has like the two buns, and that's supposed to be the burger, but even that's kind of getting away from it. Taco Bell, it has a picture of a bell, but it doesn't have anything to taco. And so that's another thing. Don't make your or I'm not here to tell you. I'm here to give you my opinion. I don't suggest making your logo very on point. So if you have a sweater knitting company, I think I used that example in a previous video. Maybe you don't want a picture of a sweater as your logo. And so just another thought when building a logo. I'm not into graphic design. I'm not into logo designing as a profession, but it's just some of those things that I've picked up, I've been observant of, and some of my own thoughts on it. So, Lunch Hour Web, I'll give you a brief overview. What I want to do, I want to kind of create a minimalistic meaning very few lines, drawing of a bowl. And then I might also include some text with it. So I'm going to start out with a circle. So I'm going to draw my circle. Oh, and I need to, let's go ahead and shrink this down. And I want my fill and stroke. Notice it's all clear right now. And let's go ahead and, oh, did it get it? Well, it's showing that it should be, oh, it's all white. That's why. Let's go ahead and make this a black. And let's go ahead and, this will be the top of a bowl. And I'm going to create another circle. And this will kind of be the Control Z to undo. Didn't mean to click that. Let's go ahead and move this. Let's go and make it wider. And let's go and make this wider. Let's make it longer. So here's kind of my bowl. Let's go and move the top part of my bowl up. And let's go and change the color. Let's just make that bright green right now, because I'm going to change this to black and white here in a little bit. So if you guys get, it doesn't really look like it right now, but this is the shape of a bowl. Notice maybe like kind of like that. It looks more like a kettle right now or a pot. But I'm trying to line up these corners to be the same size. And that's holding down Control and using my scroll wheel to zoom in and out. You can also zoom in down here. So let's go ahead and instead of doing a green, let's go ahead and make it white. And let's hold down Shift. Let's give it a black border, or let's give it a red border right now. You notice if I can click, I can change the size, bigger or smaller. I can also change the orientation to make it spin. If I click, double click, you notice I've given these two dots. And then what's really cool is using these two dots, I can change the size, of course, or I can click this circle icon and I can make this less of a circle. But for me, instead, I want to, holding my cursor outside the circle, it creates kind of a Pac-Man shape here as far down as I want. If I hold it inside the circle, it creates just a line. Creates what we call an arc. So I'm going to hold down, I'm going to click that till the inside is not filled in and I have a red outline. Let's go ahead and move my black one down here for now. So my thought is, instead of having a circle, I'm going to make half part of a circle. There we go. I'm going to duplicate that a little bit and move it up like this. Let's make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So what I've kind of done, I've built the rim of a bowl. And let me just make that one a little bit smaller. All right. Next, I want to build the bottom side of a bowl. So that's what this one's going to be right down here. Double click, and let's go ahead and start making it smaller. I do not want it to be filled, so I'm going to hold, just left click, don't hold down Shift. That will get the inside to be nothing. That's that red X. Hold down Shift to get an outline, and there we go. I have my outline of my bowl. I'm going to do the same exact thing till I get it about bowl shaped. I'm going to bring it up here. Let's go and zoom in and make sure that it's connecting right here. That's looking way too big. That doesn't look like that would really line up. So I'm going to bring this back down to about this size. There we go. Let's go ahead and choose everything. Hold down Shift. Let's give everything a black outline. So now I've got a slight, I have what looks like a bowl. I think that looks pretty good. This looks like it might be a little bit weird. So I'm going to click here again. And let's go ahead and spin it a little bit. There we go. And it's not quite lining up. So let's move that over. And there we go. So now I have a bowl shape. And you'll notice it's not even a full bowl. It's just part of a bowl. If I want this to be even smaller, let's go and maybe move that up like that. I can do that. I'm going to go ahead next, and I want to add a little bit of shading to this. So I'm going to select this one element right here. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate, and I'm going to move it all the way down to here. Now you notice this line isn't that important. It's just going to be used to fill in. So now I have, I just want to make sure that my lines cross each other. I'm going to delete this line here in a little bit. Delete this curved line right here in a little bit. I'm going to use the fill button. Now when I use fill, let's go ahead and fill it with black. I'm going to put it in here, and you'll notice that I filled in the entire section, well, nearly entire section. It didn't quite get the corners, and that's okay, because what I'd like to do next is put in a little bit of shading just to make this look a little bit better. Go ahead and get rid of this line because I don't need that anymore. Left click on this, and now I'm going to come up here to this shading, linear gradient. So right now I'm doing a solid fill in black. Instead, change it right here, and you'll notice that here we have a linear gradient. Notice when I click on that, double click, it allows me to move my shading left, right, up, down, and so on. I'd rather have my shading coming from this side, so I'm going to move these 2 points over. And I don't want a whole lot of shading, so I'm going to go ahead and move this line way up, and move this line way up as well, till I get it to about the right shading that I want. That looks pretty cool, I think. Come back here, left click here, and hold down Shift and get rid of my outline. And there we go. I'm still not hugely fond of it. Maybe come a little bit more down. And it's like coming up, but it's just filling in just this section right here. Well, I'll have to play around with that, but I think that looks pretty nice. So next I can do the same thing with my bowl. Let's go ahead and let's just draw a straight line. Yeah, that's really ugly. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and Control Z to delete that, and we'll just do it this way. I'm going to Control D that, and I'm going to just make it bigger. And again, all I'm doing is I'm going to fill in. Just make sure that these cross down here, they have to touch. And they have to touch in here. And apologize, I'm getting a phone call, so let that finish. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I got a phone call here, and I just wanted to make sure that it didn't interrupt the video too much. So I'm back. I've just put in this circular line right here, and I'm going to do another fill. So if I fill this in and it didn't I have to choose my color first. Let's go and fill that in now. Thought I did choose my color. What my fill is saying. Let's do undo, undo. Alright, I want to choose my fill. I want this to fill in all the way. Oh, the opacity is down to nothing. That's why. Okay, so I filled it in. Go ahead and get rid of this line again. And now, if I like it, I could leave it. Doesn't look too bad, actually. It looks kind of neat that way. But I do want to fill it in. I can do, instead of doing I can do a, what's that called? A radial gradient instead of a linear gradient. What a radial gradient will allow me to do is change a circular. Allows me to put the color point in the middle, the shading emanating from a central position. Now that looks a little bit strange. I think I will go back with radial gradient, and let's go ahead and make the shadow come this way now. Like the way that looks? Not really. Let's try and make it a little bit. Maybe I want it in this corner. Maybe I just want a very, very slight. And let's come here and let's go shift. We don't want the inside. I'm sorry, we don't want the border. I don't know. You know what? I kind of like it better without the shading at all. So I'm going to hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, keep going backwards until that's gone. And let's go ahead and choose this item and delete it. So now we have our bowl shape. Now this is our logo, or my logo, and let's go ahead and add some text in here. Let's call it lunch hour web. You notice it kind of came in red. That just means that my box isn't big enough. Come here, press enter again. And what I could do, if I like the way this looks, I can move it around, change it, stretch it out, make it bigger, smaller, etc. That kind of doesn't look like it's going to fit in there. Let's get rid of that. And let's do another one. And let's just do LHW for lunch hour web. Let's go ahead and change that to be much bigger size. Alright. And there we go. I can do that, something like that. So I could have LHW inside my logo as well. Not fond of a whole lot of that. So let's go ahead and, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Yep. Okay, so now here's my logo, and I think it looks decently okay. Nothing fancy, pretty simplistic. Has a nice little shading to it. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. And gosh, it just seems like it's missing something. You know what? I am going to put it in. How about you guys let me know? Do you like the lunch hour web? Do you guys like that in here all spelled out? Do you guys like it all in the same line, separate lines? Maybe the size isn't real great. Maybe I can make this smaller. Ooh, that's really small. 20 font, that's too small. 28 font. I don't know. You guys can let me know if you like this at all. If you'd rather have everything on one line, So even though I had this all written out, you notice as I'm playing around, you could spend a long time making this work exactly as you want. So I have Lunch Hour Web all in caps. Let's see, it is sans serif, just a pretty plain. I could change the font type. Let's go and change it to Arial. That's actually, I kind of like that one right there. I'm going to leave it like this. Okay? So that's my logo. Let's go ahead and group everything together. Group. And let's go to export. And just the selection, I'm going to export it as, and again, let's just make this 1,000 pixels. It'll automatically adjust the height. And let's export it as down to our desktop, Lunch Hour Web folder, images, logos. I'm going to do LHW bowl. I'm just giving it a name, and date it. And that way, if I ever adjust it later, I'm not sure which logo is my latest version of my logo. If I can play around with this at any time, I can do that. But I'm going to go and save it. Click the export. Make sure to click as export. And let's go take a look at it. So down here, my logos. Here's my LHW bowl. You notice I bring it up in Photo Viewer, nothing shows. And the reason is because it's black text, and Windows Photo Viewer is all black screen. So let's open up in Paint. And there we go. Nice big logo. And there we have it. It's okay. Not bad. You guys like it? Don't like it? Let me know. I might play around with this some more and do further modifications to it, but I'm pretty happy with it right now. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here, and that's it. So, guys, if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, please let me know. I hope this was informative. This was a longer one. Almost ate up my entire lunch hour just recording this. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Leave me comments, leave me thoughts. Let me know if I've done something horrible with my logo. Again, I'm not a graphic designer. If you guys have a better idea, let me know. And I will see you guys next time. And for the next time video, we might get into web hosting. We might be getting into creating our website. So we might be doing that. We might be doing an intro video or looking at email. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I appreciate it. Take care, guys. Have a great day.